of exchange, store of value, measure of value, and standard of deferred payments is called money.
And what are all these four features called, children? What are they called? What are they? Come on, you have done this. What are they? Are they advantages of money? Are they features of money? Are they disadvantages of money or
They
something
are
else?
functions.
Very good.
Functions
They are
of money.
yes, they are functions of money. Medium of exchange, store of value, measure of value, standard of deferment. All those who were not present on certain days, for them it will be a very good recap and they can catch up whatever they have missed out. For the others, it will be a recapitulation of what we discussed about barter system in the class, where we exchange commodity for commodity, and it was a non-monetary system of exchange. Now, money supply. Harjot, can you read this? What is there on the screen?
Yes, ma'am.
Read it.
Money supply. Money supply refers to the total amount of money which is in circulation in an economy at a given point of time.
And since it refers to the total amount of money, what do we call it, children? Stock or flow?
Stock.
Okay. Now, components. This is what I was telling you in the class the other day. These are the four ways to measure money supply. When we say stock concept, all the four is applied. But then most liquid form of money is M1, and that is in your syllabus. So currency with net demand deposits with the banks, and for reference of India, other deposits with the RBI. In case you have to write universal concept, you can always do with currency and net demand deposits. That means C and DD. So when we say demand deposits, which are the two types of deposits that we are talking about? Which are the two
Saving
types of
account and current account.
Very good. Saving account and current account. M2, when we move to little less fluidic money, and children, this is called the high powered money, M1, because it's the most liquid form. Now, when we add more ways in which money is available in the economy in circulation, we go to M1 definitely, and post office saving deposits. So these are the saving deposit accounts in the post office. Then comes, so this is also quite available, M3. When we add M3, so we definitely take M1, and with M1, we add time deposits with the commercial bank. Here comes the fixed deposits. And since they are time bound, we cannot call them a high powered money, this component. And it then comes M4. So we take M3, which includes M1 and time deposits with commercial bank, and then we also add post office. So M4 actually has all the various forms of money available in supply, which means currency, net demand deposits, other deposits of RBI, post office saving deposits, time deposits with the commercial bank. And all this together are the components of money supply. You have to focus on M1. Now, there are various factors that determine money supply, which that is whatever, whether we're talking about M1, M2, M3, M4. So first of all, the monetary supply, monetary policy. And we all know that monetary policy is a quarterly policy. Every quarter, it is reviewed and reassessed by the RBI and the finance ministry together. That means members of the monetary policy committee. We'll call them MPCE, monetary policy committee. And they decide whether we should increase. Now, monetary policy, when we talk about, it includes all the credit control measures. I would like some of you to tell me a few credit control measures. We discussed yesterday also, we discussed day before also. Name few credit control measures. Tools of credit control, anyone? Simran?
Yes, ma'am.
Name one
Yes.
credit control tool.
Reverse repo rate.
Okay, reverse repo rate. Then, Vanshika? Bank rate, yes, Ayush. Vanshika, your turn. Vanshika? Okay, anybody else who can hear me? Go on telling me some more names, children.
MSLR, CRR.
SLR, CRR, and all these
Bank
things are,
rates, repo rate, and
yes,
reverse repo rate.
yes. And then we have open market operations, margin requirements. There is one more tool, margin requirements, which we'll be talking about in this course or maybe in the course of next chapter. Then the second policy that determines the money supply affects the money supply is policy of commercial banks. Now, commercial banks policy simply means the credit creation policy. And we all know that this policy is completely regulated by the central bank. So credit control policy means whether the central banks will try to create more credit or less credit, whether the central banks will have the borrowings given on a higher rate or lesser rate, depending on this. And the third thing, though it's not in the purview of this chapter, but the third component which decides the total money supply in the economy or demand for money supply in the economy, that is fiscal policy. This is a policy which you will be studying in detail in the government budget chapter. But fiscal policy, children, in short, is the revenue and expenditure policy of the government. So through fiscal policy, government decides whether the tax rates are to be increased or reduced, whether the public expenditure are to be increased and reduced. Now, right now, Delhi is not having rainfall, but it is getting flooded. Who will tell me why? Despite having no rainfall, Delhi is getting flooded. Yamuna has crossed the mark of safety. Now, who is going to tell me why is it happening? Let me check your awareness. Come on, class. Students of Delhi, you are sitting at home today. The school is closed for you today, offline mode mein, and you do not know why. Mayank Kathayat, can you hear me?
रेनफॉल हैवी रेनफॉल जो हो रही थी कुछ दिनों से
Heavy rainfall फॉल कहाँ पे? दिल्ली में?
Haryana, the Harpur barrage was
Harya-
opened by the Yamuna River water raised.
Okay, okay. From Haryana, then what else? There are other states also which are responsible for this flooding. The heavy rainfall in Uttarakhand and Himachal Pradesh. They are all leading to the rivers flowing into, coming down. And from Haryana, whatever water comes here in Delhi, it is flooding. It is making the Yamuna river water level rise. And with water, you can understand what all is coming down. Your plastic, polythene, the filth, everything is coming down. So now Delhi CM has closed the schools, and the schools are going to be, a lot of MCD schools and other schools are going to be used as a shelter home for whom? Shelter home for?
The
Homeless people.
The people who were living in the river beds, in the Yamuna river beds, or who were living in the low-lying areas, they are being shifted. Now, when they are shifted, there will be problems of medicine, there will be problem of food, there will be problem of expenditure on cleanliness, washrooms, bathrooms, etc. So, who will be doing all that? Who will be taking care of all those things?
government.
Government. That is what includes government public expenditure. Public expenditure can be on welfare, can be on growth. So this public expenditure, will it be called expenditure on welfare or expenditure on growth?
Welfare.
Welfare expenditure. So this also accepts. Now we have discussed about what is a commercial bank. Whom should I ask to read here? One of you read this. What is there on the screen? Arnav, read what is there on the screen.
Yes, ma'am. A commercial bank is a financial institution which performs the function of accepting deposits from the public and advancing loans. The bank acts as an intermediary between those who have surplus money and those who are in need of money.
Okay. So we know that there are two main functions of commercial banks besides the other agency functions: accepting deposits and advancing loans. And banks create loans through the deposits. Now, types of deposits we have already discussed in the class. Current account deposits. The depositor can withdraw the money anytime. Check facility is provided. The bank does not pay any interest. Saving account deposit. The depositor can withdraw money, his money at any time, but there are restrictions on the number of withdrawals. Interest rate is definitely there, but not as much as it is there in the time deposits. And the purpose of this deposit to encourage small savings. Now, someone has to turn on the mic and tell me which account between these two suits the salaried class.
Savings account.
And
Savings.
good. And the business class?
Current
Current
people.
account.
Current
Current
account. Okay. Which account out of these two provide overdraft facilities to few?
Current
Current
account.
account.
Current account.
Current account.
Yes. And now, fixed deposit and recurring deposit. Recurring deposit is also termed as a time-bound deposit. Money is deposited for a fixed period of time. And in recurring deposit, it is like EMI. Every month you go on saving some part of the amount, and then you can withdraw the total money only after completing the term. So both the deposits have higher interest rates than the other two deposits. Now, credit creation by commercial bank. Let's see what are the assumptions of credit creation. And Badal, read the assumptions which is there on your screen. Badal, can you hear me? Badal, there is no message also coming from your side. How do I know whether you are able to hear me or not?
Yes, ma'am.
So you can hear me. Read what is there on your screen.
Credit creation by commercial bank. Assumptions. Banking system is considered as one unit, namely banks. All receipts and payments in the economy are through the banks. Third point, all payments are through checks. Last one, the one who receives payment deposits the same in his account.
Okay. Now, banks are supposed to keep some percentage of their deposits as LRR, and this is the total of CRR and SLR. So when you say LRR, it actually means CRR and SLR. In this chapter, children, money and banking, we will focus on LRR. When we go to next chapter, we will be talking about the split components, CRR and SLR. Now, legal reserve ratio, including these two, we have already done. The total deposits with the central bank are called and who is going to answer? Mayank Khandelwal is giving some message in the group. What is that, children? He's not here also.
He's trying to join the class.
He's trying to join the class. Okay, then let me see if I can add him. I don't find any pending message here. Is it so? I don't find any pending message to join. Anyway, let's continue with this. So money multiplier mechanism, and this we have. Now I am going to give you a question. We have done all this, and you all take out the notebooks and pens, and the question that I'm giving you right now, you will give me the answer quickly. If your speakers are working, you'll speak. Otherwise, you will share it in the chat box. So let LRR be 15%. Everybody note down. Let LRR be 15%. And the initial deposits be 5,000. You have to now find out how much money or LRR will be created. What will be money multiplier and how much money total deposit will be created. Solve and let me know. Have you all started working? Harjot, have you started calculating?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, do that. This will be in decimals. Start sharing your answer in the chat box. How much is money multiplier, children?
6.66.
6.66. Okay, if 6.66 is the money multiplier, what would be the total deposit if initial deposits were 5,000?
33,333.
Very good, Harjot. How many others have been able to calculate? I did not find any answer in the chat box. 6. That means the total deposit will be 6.66 times of the initial deposit. Very good, Harjot. And no one else has been able to. How many of you have been able to calculate? At least mention, raise your hands and let me know. Raise the virtual hands. Okay. Go on doing that. Correct. So now we proceed here. And this is the working of the multiplier. So working of multiplier, we have already discussed in form of a tabular presentation. Therefore, I am moving ahead. Now, is there anybody who wants me to explain the working of credit multiplier, money multiplier, how the credit creation takes place? Anyone? And if it is clear to you, please give a message in the chat box or raise your hand tool if it is clear to you. Yeah, good. Others?
Can you explain once?
Explain once what? How the money is created? Just now, you have seen that when we have a money multiplier value, and when we have, actually, this is not, my stylus is not working. Otherwise, I would have used board and shown you. So we have to keep two things in mind. What is LRR? And then what is the initial deposit? If we get these two information, we'll be able to find out. So suppose LRR is 10%. So when we say 10%, money multiplier is 1 upon LRR. So 1 upon 10 upon 100, which means it comes out to be 10. Correct? So if money multiplier comes out to be 10, that means that the total deposit will be 10 times of the initial deposit. Now, when we go to the function of this, it is that a person deposits 1,000 rupees in the bank. LRR is, money multiplier is 10 times, LRR is 10. So 10% of that 1,000 rupees, which means how much, children? 10% of 1,000 rupees?
100.
100 will be set aside by the bank as reserve and 900 will be given away as loan. Now this person gets a loan, makes payment through checks to others. Others bring that check and deposit in the bank. Now bank has got 900 extra deposit. Somebody approaches for a loan, or those who have got the checks will come for getting it encashed. So bank will, or for loan, bank will provide 90% of 900. How much will be that, Manya? 90% of 900? Or someone else help her? How much will be 90%?
800.
800. So, and where will that other 100 be kept? How will that 100 be treated?
190. 810 is the
810. Correct. So how will that 90 rupees be treated?
Reserves.
And therefore 810 given as loan. This person gets loan through check, makes payments through checks, and people receive check. They bring back the money here in the account and they get their money. Now somebody approaches to take a fresh loan. The loan will be created from that 810. And how much loan will be created if, what percentage of that 810 will be given as loan if money multiplier is, if LRR is 10? Manya, what percentage of 810 will be given out as loan if LRR is 10%? Anyone for that, Tanmay? What percentage will be given as loan?
Ma'am, please repeat the question.
Huh?
Ma'am, please repeat the question.
I'm saying if 810 is the total deposit amount available with bank to be given as loan, and if LRR is 10%, what percentage of 810 will be given away as loan? 100% of 810?
90%, ma'am.
90%. 90%. Why 90% only?
Because 10% is set aside as
Yes.
reserve.
Very good. So this is how, again, the payment goes, again, the 810 comes back through deposits and fresh loan will be created. Fresh loan will be now 90% of 810. And how much would be that, children? 90% of 810? Quickly, let me know.
731.
730. Okay. So
729.
729.
729.
729. Sorry.
Okay, whatever you are calculating, 729. And in this manner, we calculate for 3-4 levels. And you are watching, you're realizing that the amount is getting lesser and lesser. This is one cycle which has generated after that 1,000 rupees initial deposit. This cycle is a self-effacing cycle. This will come to the minimum value. Then we again talk about fresh deposit coming in the bank, and thereafter again the money multiplier chain will start working. So to calculate how much will be the end result of this 1,000 initial deposit, we use the formula of LRR and money multiplier. If LRR is 10%, money multiplier is 10. If initial deposit was 1,000, total deposit will be 10 times of 1,000, and that will be 10 times of 1,000. 10,000, exactly. And besides creating 10,000 total deposit, how much Reserve Bank has been able to create? 10,000 is 1,000. Very good. 1,000, which is 10% of 10,000. And how much Loan Bank has been able to give?
9,000.
9,000. I hope it's clear to all now. Especially to you, Manya. Is it clear?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Now we proceed here. Central Bank and functions of Central Bank. This is issue of currency we have discussed. And if you see the lower part of this, Arnav, can you read this, the second para of this?
Yes, ma'am. From coins, right? Coins in 1 rupee notes are printed by the government. The RBI will put them into circulation. All other currency notes are printed and issued by RBI. India follows minimum reserve system. RBI has to maintain gold and foreign exchange reserves of 200 crores, out of which 115 crores should be gold.
And what about the other 85 crores?
That should be foreign reserves.
Good. Now, second function, banker to the government. So on behalf of government, central bank plays all the function of the government's bank. So what does it do? It receives deposits, revenue for the government, and makes all payment on behalf of the government. It manages the loans taken by government for public interest. Then it also advises government on the banking and financial matters, and it manages the current account balance of the government. Same functions, if you see them carefully, these are all those functions which commercial banks are giving to the common people, to the public. And since central bank is a government's bank, it performs all the functions of the same government in the same way as a commercial bank performs for people. Bankers Bank, of course, it's an apex bank, it's the autonomous body, it's the head bank, and therefore it acts as a supervisor, regulator of all the commercial banks. Commercial banks, whether they are in public sector, whether they are private sector, whether they are foreign banks. So who is going to read this? Jasmay, can you read this, please?
Yes, madam. Bankers Bank and Supervisor. All the commercial banks have to keep some percentage of their deposits with the RBI. This is called cash reserve ratio. The central bank gives license to start commercial banks, inspects the work of commercial banks periodically, and sometimes asks the bank to wind up. Every commercial bank is required to maintain a fixed percentage of its deposits in the form of cash with itself. This is called statutory liquidity ratio. RBI fixes SLR.
And yesterday you had a question in the quiz, children. How much is the current SLR?
Ma'am, 18%.
Very good. How much is the current CRR?
4.5%.
Great. next function, and I would like Arnav to, no, Arnav, you have already read. I would like Simran to read this. Actually, I'm not able to see all the names here. Simran, read this.
Yes, ma'am. When the commercial banks are in financial difficulties, they can get loans from the RBI. They can approach the RBI with discounted bills. RBI will rediscount them and advance loans.
So when no other source of income is there with the banks, RBI comes up as at the rescue of the banks. Clearinghouse function. All banks have their accounts with central bank, and therefore central bank works as a clearinghouse function. So payment from one bank to the other bank, which is not included in money supply. Payment of one bank to the other bank, purchase of one bank from the other bank, borrowings from one bank to the other bank, or borrowings from RBI, everything is maintained with this, taken care of by the central bank, and it works as a clearinghouse function. Then custodian of foreign exchange reserve, especially now, basically it works as the custodian of foreign exchange reserve for government, though there are other banks also which can buy and sell currencies. Controller of credit. Now here, children, what I did not tell you in the class is that we have these all monetary policy tools can be categorized in two parts. If you see on the screen, quantitative credit control measures and qualitative credit control measures. So quantitative, when we say by the quantity, so what aspect of borrowings do these measures control? Do they control the amount of credit in the economy, or do they control the nature of credit in the economy? If I say that a particular, yes.
Amount will be in quantitative.
Amount. So all the quantitative credit control measures, which you have studied also, tools, are those tools which will regulate and control the amount of credit, flow of credit in the economy. Now, all of you go through those 5-6 tools: CRR, SLR, reverse repo rate, bank rate, CRR, reserve ratios, and tell me which ones will qualify as quantitative credit control measures.
Bank rate.
Are you driving, Badal?
No, sorry.
A lot of sound is coming. It seems as if you are driving a bike.
No, ma'am.
Okay. So bank rate, correct. That's right. Which other rate, which other tool, children, will be a quantitative credit control measure? Yes, Cheshta?
Open market operations and LRR.
Very good. Open market operations. LRR here will say reserve ratios, which means CRR, SLR. Yes. Which is the other tool? Okay. Now, any other tool which controls quantitative credit control measures? Now, qualitative credit control measures. Those tools of credit control which regulate the nature of credit. Which tools do you think will qualify in this category? Cheshta?
Margin requirements, selective credit controls, and moral suasion.
Very good. Very good. And where will you include, children, all your repo rate, reverse repo rate? These two tools have gone missing. Nobody told me. So where would you add repo rate and reverse repo rate?
Quantitative.
Quantitative. So now all the tools that we have discussed till yesterday, bank rate, repo rate, reverse repo rate, reserve ratios, which mean your CRR, SLR, and open market operations, all of them are quantitative credit control measures because they regulate credit. One, I spoke about moral suasion. As I told you yesterday about moral suasion, let me see if someone remembers what I spoke. Will someone repeat what I told you about moral suasion? What exactly is that, children? Moral suasion? Only Cheshta is raising the hand. What about the others? Cheshta, yes, Saksham, you. What is moral suasion?
Ma'am, it's not only sue, but it's also persuasion, ma'am, you told in the class.
Yes, and then what is done under this? qualitative moral suasion. Does central bank apply a general measure to all the banks under this tool? Does yes, Jasmine?
Ma'am, yesterday you told that if a bank decides its own rate of giving loans, then the RBI or the central bank can um, persuade it and can fix, and ma'am, means you it can give a notice that it should increase its rates and
Yes, or decrease or vice versa, whatever.
yes, increase or
So
decrease.
which means it. Do you agree, all of you, that it is a discretionary and credit control tool? It is not a universal credit control tool. It does. Do you agree that it need not be applied on all the banks in general? Moral suasion? Yes or no? It applies only on a particular bank. Central bank has to issue directives only to a particular bank which is not abiding. Therefore, we put it under qualitative control, credit control. And Cheshta told us, right? About two more credit controls: selective credit control and margin requirements. So now I hope your notebooks and pens are with you. Children, when we say selective credit control, this is one tool that regulates the nature of credit. For example, we feel that the central bank feels that the industries are doing well, but the farmers need to be given more subsidy, more push. Or the central bank feels that there is inflation in the goods and services consumed by the people in the urban city, but the inputs required for farm practices need to be given an incentive, a motivation. So what what central bank does, it either maintains the rate of interest on industrial loans or even raises the rate of interest on industrial loans, and it makes the agricultural loans cheaper. So agricultural loans will be coming at a cheaper rate, industrial loans would be coming at a higher rate. Similarly, if government asks central bank to encourage people to have their own houses, but affordable houses, and if it says that we don't want to encourage luxury spending, so what will central bank do? It will issue directives to its commercial banks that you make the home loan interest low and car loan and other luxury goods interest, consumer loans higher, because there are different rates of interest available for home loans, for consumer loans, car loans, etc. So if government wants affordable housing to be encouraged, home loan rate of interest will be reduced, and luxury goods rates of interest or the consumer goods rate of interest will be either kept the same or increased. So here, if you have understood me clearly, you must have realized that it is not a general situation, whether inflation or recession. Central bank is not using a general measure that all rates of interest to be increased or all rates of interest to be decreased, all borrowings to be encouraged or all borrowings to be discouraged. It is taking a discretionary practice. This is called selective credit control. Those who have understood what I said, raise your hand, tools. Am I audible? Tanmay, am I audible?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
So is it that, have you understood what I said?
A little bit, but not fully.
Not fully. Selective credit control has one feature called is a qualitative credit control. Have you all, first of all, written selective credit control in your notebooks or not? If you have written, then you should understand that under this tool, write down if you wish, under this tool, the central bank does not pass a universal instruction for the borrowings. Instead, it takes discretionary decisions based on the needs of different sectors of the economy. Based on the needs of different sectors of the economy. And as I was telling you, if agriculture needs to be given a boost, agriculture loans will be made cheaper, industrial loans will not be made cheaper. If industries need to be given boost, if Make in India, Startup India needs to be given boost, so MSME loans will be made cheaper, large industrial loans will not be made cheaper. If housing societies, housing has to be encouraged, people housing loans are to be encouraged, so home loans rate of interest will be lowered and rest of the interest rates will not be lowered. Is it clear now, Tanmay?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
And basically, it is when they need a way decrease in rates.
Yes, need based, and therefore it is included under qualitative credit control. Then the other tool which Cheshta mentioned was margin requirements. Now, if suppose I need a loan of 10 lakh rupees for buying a car, or let's say 20 lakh rupees for buying a car, and I approach the bank that my car costs 20 lakh rupees and I need a loan of 20 lakh rupees. Do you think banks will give you all 20 lakhs? Will they give you all 20 lakhs? No.
No, ma'am.
No bank gives you 100% loan, whether it is home loan, agriculture loan, industrial loan, car loan, whatever loan. 100% loan is not given because bank also wants to keep a check on the credit worthiness of the person. His credit worthiness definitely will be checked by the banks through various parameters, but bank expects certain amount of money to come from the borrower also. So this margin requirement, different loans have got different margin money. In normal term, we call them margin money. So some banks maintain a 10% margin money, some banks maintain a 20% margin money, some banks may maintain a 30% margin money. Now, suppose, take a question, all of you calculate and tell me, I have approached a bank for a loan of 20 lakh rupees. And this bank says that it has a policy of 20% as margin requirement. How much money will I have to open an account and deposit with that bank first?
4 lakh.
4 lakhs. And then how much money will bank add to that account as loan?
16 lakhs.
Correct. So my loan will be 16 lakhs and bank creates a DD or a check in favor of the seller of the car to me for 20 lakhs. And then next month onwards, my EMI begins on those 16 lakhs. So that 4 lakh rupees which I have deposited in the account while taking loan is called margin requirement. And in books, you will find the definition given as it is the difference between the amount of money borrowed and the amount of money actually sanctioned. So suppose
it is basically down payment, but not in cash.
Down payment is the word which sellers use, which the car company will ask me कि down payment आप इतनी करा दीजिए और बाकी आप check से कर दीजिए, right? या आप loan से कर दीजिए. But down payment word banks do not use, the selling companies use. Now, children, answer my question. If there is inflation in the economy and I approach the bank for a loan of 20 lakh and if there is inflation, so will the margin requirement, which was earlier 20 lakhs, 20%, if there is inflation, will the banks increase the margin requirement or reduce the margin requirement? Increase. Why will they increase, by the way?
For discouraging more credit creation.
Very good, Harjot. For discouraging more credit. So I will be discouraged that I have to now, suppose it is made 30 lakhs, which means 30%, which means now I have to deposit 6 lakhs. And if I don't have 6 lakhs, I will not approach the bank for loan. So I will reduce my demand for car and the public spending will be little less. On the other hand, if there is recession, what will the banks do with their margin requirement? Will they increase or decrease? If there is recession, they will. And only Harjot is giving answers. What about the others? Are your mics not working? Or I am not audible? So if there is recession, the banks will increase the margin requirement or decrease the margin requirement? No reply. Now, if the margin requirement works on the basis of inflation and recession in general, should we categorize margin requirement as a qualitative credit control tool or quantitative credit control tool? Let me see who answers this question. I started with qualitative. Now I'm asking you a question. Cheshta, what is your answer? Cheshta, what's your answer?
Ma'am, qualitative.
Qualitative. Anybody else? Should we include margin requirement as qualitative or quantitative? And Cheshta, why do you say qualitative? Margin requirement is one tool which is used in general for inflation or recession. If we see from that point of view, it is a quantitative credit control tool. Margin requirement can be different for different types of loans. For home loan is a different margin requirement, for car loan is a different margin requirement, and further. From that point of view, it can also be termed as a qualitative credit control tool. So with this, we move ahead with the credit control tools. Now, these are the quantitative credit control tools, what you all have given the answers for. These are reserve ratios and all the rates. And when we say this, we have discussed already, so I'll go forward. Qualitative credit control tools or selective credit control tools, this is margin requirement. So margin requirement is treated here as selective credit control tool because different loans have got different margin requirements. Had it been one kind of margin requirement for all types of loans, it will become a quantitative tool. I have already explained, so here I move for the end of this slide. And this was your money and banking PPT. Anything else that you would like to know from money and banking, children? Else I'll be starting with the next PPT. And this next PPT, I'll go a little fast because we still have 10 minutes time. This is national income and related aggregates. Wait, instead of this, let me ask you something, children. Give me 1 minute. I want to share something else. There is a revision part which I want to share with you all. Yes, it's this. I hope it's clear. It's there on your screens. I can see it on my other device. It is visible. Is it visible to all of you?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Now, here I want to take you to this particular. This was a revision part that I had used in one of the online classes. This one. State whether the following will be included in the domestic or economic territory of India, yes or no. And now you will be very fast in answering these questions. Branch of SBI in London?
No.
No. Why?
Ma'am, because it is in London, it is in the domestic territory of the United Kingdom. It is not like an embassy that would be a part of India.
Correct. Very good. Question number 2. Chinese embassy in India?
No, ma'am.
No.
Why not?
It's not the part of India. It's a Chinese embassy and it will be included in the domestic territory of China and not in India.
Absolutely. Branch of HSBC in India? Children, go on, take your turns.
Yes, it will be.
And why?
It is not that it is that it is not an embassy, but it is included. It is in the boundary of India, so we will consider it
Yes.
in the domestic territory.
That particular branch is in the domestic territory of India. A company located in USA owned by an Indian. I would like other children also to answer. A company located in USA owned, not to be included. Why not, Hardik?
It will be included in the domestic territory of US because it is.
Very good. Indian embassy in Pakistan,
Yes, it will be.
because it is part of domestic territory. Indian consulate in Kuwait.
Yes, ma'am. This
Indian
also consulate, no? Embassy and
consulate.
consulates all are in the part of domestic territory.
And now go to question number 12. Indian consulate in Kuwait will be included in domestic territory of India. Question number 12. A consultancy agency of an Indian in New York. Will it be included in domestic territory of India or not?
No.
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 Why not? Why not? Arnav, yes or no?
No, ma'am.
Why not?
Ma'am, because it is not located in the domestic territory of India, it is located in the domestic territory of the United States.
So Indian consulate was also located in the domestic territory of.
The consulates and embassies come together under one category, and they are considered in the domestic territory of the country they belong to. For example, an Indian consulate in Kuwait will be considered a part of domestic territory of India.
Okay, good. Now, children, remember, when we say consulate or embassy, it is one group. Consultancy offices, if any consultancy group is of government of a country, it will be considered as a part of domestic territory. But this consultancy agency, question number 12, is of an individual in New York. So therefore, it will not be included in the Indian domestic territory. Okay, now then I go to question number 9. Dakshin Gangotri, an Indian Space Research Center in Antarctica. Yes or no? And if yes, under what criteria? If no, under what, due to what reason? Question number 9, children. Dakshin Gangotri in an Indian Space Research Center in Antarctica. What's your answer?
Yes, because research centers are included in the territory because it is owned by the government.
Okay. Sagar Ratna outlets in Australia, 15th number.
No.
Why not? Why not?
I'm not a part of the categories which are considered as a part in domestic territory, like embassies or air force or military, all those things.
Okay. Now there are a few reasoning questions, children. If I ask you some more reasoning questions. Fees paid by a company to a lawyer. Will it be included in national income or not? There's a one full set of reasoning questions. One day I'll be taking the reasoning questions with you all as a revision test. Fees paid by a firm to a lawyer. Will it be included in the national income or not?
No, ma'am. It will not be. It is an intermediate expenditure and not a final expenditure.
Okay.
And all the final value of goods and services are considered in national income and not intermediate.
Okay. That means then fees paid by your parent for the education of his child in school fees paid by the parent. Will you include it in the national income or not? Fees paid by firm you did not include. You said it's an intermediate expenditure.
How is it intermediate? I couldn't understand that.
Who is paying that lawyer's fees?
Because they are both getting services in turn of each other, and the final service is to be produced in next, like in the next step or next process. And giving and taking the lawyer service is a part of that final service.
Okay.
So it will be intermediate.
Yes. And this payment, firm paying fees to a lawyer, is payment between one producer to the other producer, which means it can be considered as within the production boundary. The final output of the firm is something else. In between, it is paying for the legal hassles. Therefore, it will not be included in the final. Whatever parent paying school fees for the child? how will you treat that? A parent paying school fee to the child, for the child. Will it be included in national income or not? School fees. Your parents are paying your school fees. They pay online, they pay through checks, etc. Will you want that? Do you want that fee to be included in national income or not? Am I audible?
Yes, ma'am.
Which means you people are totally blank in this area. This is one set. So when I plan my revision test for this periodic 2, I will be taking this part as the most extensive part, whether to be included in the national income or not. And now, children, I am calling out the names of those who have been marked absent with me earlier. If they are there, please let me know. Ayush Gonyal, not there. Tulip, can you please go on writing these names so that you send me the attendance later on? Tulip.
Okay, ma'am.
Ayush Gonyal, not present. Gauri, not present. Then who is this? Jia, what was the name?
Jia Mitra.
Jia Mitra, not there in the class. Jia, are you there? Not there. Mayank Prasad, not in the class. Mayank Khandelwal, not in the class. Priyanshi, not there. Saksham Gaba, not there. Shivam Sareen, still not there. Yash Jatolia, not here. Yashvardhan, Yashvardhan is not there. And is Pragati here? Pragati from 12D? Pragati is not there. What time your 6th period gets over, children?
And 12:25.
12:25. Okay, so we are very much within time, your class. Now, morning, there were so many children who were present. In maths period, I think I was watching the attendance of the other groups. Only one student was absent. What happened to the students? Is there a network issue or something? So many are not in the class, economics class. Okay, so it's time for you to log out of the class.
Have a nice
And
day.
let's see. You
Have a nice
two.
day, ma'am.
Now,
Have a
just a minute, children. Prepare these 2 chapters. Monday, I'll be starting with the new chapter, but I'll try to share. Actually, my material is there in the school. Otherwise, I would have shared a revision test for you all. Anyway, have a nice day, all of you.
Have a nice day, ma'am.
Have a nice day.
You too.
Have a nice day, ma'am.